So it appears like we might have some good news with the humanitarian crisis going on in Gaza. I know that everybody's probably going to be rather skeptical about this because the fact is that Israel and the APAC lobby holds and wields massive amounts of control over the federal and state, but especially the federal government here in America. So much money is given, so many donations are given to politicians on both sides of the aisle, so much to the point that people who just simply stand up for the rights of Palestinians. We've seen professors lose their jobs. We've seen people get fired. I think it was the one of the coaches for the Jets ended up losing his position because he stood up for Lebanon. Things like that. They say you're anti-Semitic if you say anything in support of Palestinian lives. Um, Netanyahu has shown himself to be very, very uninterested in peace whatsoever. Anytime there's an opportunity for a ceasefire deal, he rejects it because he doesn't want a ceasefire. He's trying to build a greater Israel, expanding the borders. It was just a week ago, 2 weeks ago now, maybe, when he threatened the people of Lebanon that he'll do what he's doing in Gaza to them if they don't get rid of Hezbollah. You know what I'm saying? So this dude is just a complete psychotic terrorist. That's what he is. He's a terrorist. He's a theocratic lunatic. And at the end of the day, he is able to do what he does because he's allowed to, because the United States gives Israel billions of dollars in weaponry and props them up with tax dollars. So let's check this out and see if perhaps we're moving in the right direction here. The Biden administration sent a letter to Israeli leaders on Monday demanding Israel take steps within 30 days to improve the dire humanitarian conditions in Gaza or risk the supply of U.S. weapons in Israel being affected, according to a copy of a letter obtained by Axios. Israel is highly dependent on U.S. military aid as it fights a war on several fronts and has been under intense scrutiny as warnings emerge again about the humanitarian situations in northern Gaza. Israeli authorities closed crossings into Gaza earlier this month, halting deliveries of food and essential supplies to 400,000 Palestinians before some trucks were able to enter again on Monday. Countries that receive U.S. military aid and are in active military conflict must allow the transfer of U.S. supported humanitarian aid without interruption, according to U.S. law and a national security memorandum signed by President Biden in February. Again, Netanyahu just got a whole nother shipment of weapons and couldn't even return a call to Biden. Netanyahu obviously wants Donald Trump to win. He's going to hold out as long as he can because at the end of the day, a ceasefire is only possible through a Democratic administration. Donald Trump, that ain't happening with him. War with Iran is obviously a massive risk with either a Democrat or a Republican in office, but much more likely that we escalate things greatly with Iran with Donald Trump in there, of course. Failure to do so could lead to the suspension of U.S. military aid, and we'll see about this because again, Israel gets what Israel wants from the United States. Last March, the Israeli government sent a written commitment to the Biden administration to abide by the terms. They haven't done so. The letter sent Monday from Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, Israeli Minister of Strategic Affairs Ron Dermer, and Minister of Defense Yoav Gallant signals the Biden administration doesn't think Israel is implementing its commitments. Well, yeah, I guess it better late than never, I suppose. But at the same time, this is a situation where tens of thousands of people are being slaughtered. So it's not like better late than never. We can raise the tax rate, lower the tax rate, or jimmy this up in the economy. No, these are people's lives. The Biden administration is extremely concerned. Yeah, that's nice, but what has the Biden administration done thus far besides not much? The new Israeli operation led to the suspension of the delivery trucks in northern Gaza for 2 weeks. The Biden administration was concerned the Israeli steps are part of a broader plan proposed by former Israeli generals to impose a siege and starve out Hamas militants, which, of course, would starve out innocent Palestinians who are in the zone as well. Gallant told Austin on Sunday that the IDF isn't implementing the general's plan. Blinken and Austin sent a letter ahead of winter when the humanitarian crisis is expected to worsen. The letter was first reported on Israel's Channel 12. In the letter, Blinken and Austin said recent evacuation orders issued by the IDF to the population in Gaza have forced about 1.7 million Palestinians into a small strip of land on the coast, exposing them to dangerous diseases. Again, October 7th, that happened over a year ago now. That was over a year ago, and the hostages still haven't been free because Netanyahu doesn't care about that. He does not care about that whatsoever. They added that international aid organizations claim they can't address the needs of the civilians there. So there's that, and this is intentional. The US official said in a letter that recent Israeli policies, including limiting the movement of humanitarian aid delivery between southern and northern Gaza, new regulations that make it harder to supply aid in Gaza, increase lawlessness and looting. Of course it did. The amount of assistance entering Gaza in September was the lowest of any month during the past year, despite the fact that things have been becoming increasingly worse there. They added failure to demonstrate a sustained commitment to implementing and maintaining these measures may have implications for U.S. policy. But we'll see, again, we'll see if they actually do it. This is an issue that the Harris administration is going to out of this will be, obviously Kamala Harris's weakest issue because America is firmly behind Israel, even at this point. Like after all of this, tens of thousands of people being slaughtered, after all of this, we're threatening to maybe pull back military aid. Maybe, perhaps, we'll see. We'll see. If they raise a big enough fuss, we'll give it to them anyway. So again, this is absolutely going to be her weakest issue and something that the public is going to have to stay on her about. So, in the demands, they said they want Israel to carry out the humanitarian pauses. The U.S. also demands Israel allow the Palestinians who are concentrated along the coast in Mawasi to move east inland and away from the coastal area before winter. Blinken and Austin also demanded Israel ends the isolation of northern Gaza Strip and officially announce it has no policy. So again, we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. I guess it's somewhat good because it's a step in the right direction, and you got to get moving in the right direction for anything to change. But again, after tens of thousands of people have been slaughtered, we're only here now, and this is largely going to be how Biden is remembered. Hey now, thank you so much for tuning in here at Politics and Paper. If you like what I do and you support my work, go ahead and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it and really helps to support what we do here.